A couple of years ago, I was in the Home Office. I got a call from NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. And they said to me, "We found you on the internet. We would like you to come and talk to us about the future of space." I sort of thought, okay, who's in the room? They said, well, we're going to have some astronauts. We're going to have some mission controllers. We're going to have some astrophysicists. We're going to have people who are staring into the heavens, trying to understand the origins of the universe. Can you come in and talk to us? I said, sure, I can do that. So the week before, I'm in my home office. I'm working on my PowerPoint presentation. And I'm thinking, what can I possibly talk to NASA about? I mean, these are extremely brilliant people. I'm thinking space, future, trends, what's come next. And I'm thinking, look, George Jetson. I'm going to go and I'm going to talk about George Jetson. So I found this picture of George. I found another picture of George. And I put these in my PowerPoint deck. Well, why would I talk to NASA about the Jetsons? Remember this cartoon show? It came out in the year 1962. It purported to show what the world would look like in the year 2062, 100 years later. But think about what George is doing. You know, when he's in the show, he's getting his news via the internet. He's using Skype. He's talking to his boss via FaceTime. You can go back and watch this show from 1962, and you can see all of the things that have become real by the year 2016. My point for NASA was this. The future is coming at us faster. Time is accelerating. What we thought would be far away in the future is all of a sudden becoming a part of our lives earlier. And that's the reality that we need to prepare for the future. So I'm thinking to myself, it's a good intro for NASA, talking about the Jetsons. And then I'm thinking, I got one shot at this. I might never get invited, in to talk to NASA again. There is no way that I'm not going into NASA and not talking about Spock. I got to talk about Spock. I got one shot at this. So I put up this picture of Spock. What is Spock holding in his hands here? A medical tricorder. You might remember this episode. Apparently this is the wrong photo. I'll have all the Trekkies come up to me afterwards saying, wrong photo, wrong episode, Jim. They get all stressed about it, but I'm going to stick with this photo. He is holding in his hands a medical tricorder, a fantastic concept of science fiction from the 23rd century. He could hold this device next to the head of a human or alien and get an instant physiological reading, get instant insight into their entire medical history, get an entire forward-looking categorization of their medical risks. Wouldn't it be fantastic if we had a medical tricorder? Well, we live in a world of the X Prize. We live in a world in which there are organizations challenging global scientists to solve some of the biggest problems of our time, having to do with water, having to do with the environment, having to do with healthcare, having to do with education. And the reason I brought this up for NASA was at NASA's Goddard Research Center north of Washington. And they were unaware that out at NASA's Ames Research Laboratory in California, a group of 45 NASA scientists in an unsanctioned, unofficial project decided to pursue the $10 million X Prize put up by Qualcomm, one of the world's largest manufacturers of computer chips. They went out onto Kickstarter to raise the funding to pursue the project. They contract manufactured to develop the prototype and get it into working order extremely quickly. And I hold it here in my hands today. I can turn on this little device and hold it to my head, and it will Bluetooth to my iPhone. And it will take my blood pressure, it will take my pulse, it will take my oxygen level, it will run an EKG. And to win the prize, they have to be able to do 13 physiological measurements. The next prototype will do a glucose test and other tests. My point for NASA was this: we live in a world in which what's supposed to be here in the 23rd century is all of a sudden here today, and it's part of our lives. So here we are to talk about the future.